Patty?
Hi, Pat.
Oh, fantastic.
We're underway.
Very good. Hi there, Mel. Okay, we have two coming in as well, and Phyllis as well. Great. Hi there, John.
Hi, Patty.
John, have you been to Hawaii?
Oh, a long time ago, yes, I ran the Honolulu Marathon.
Wow, is that why you went?
Yeah, I ran it with my son.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, hi. Hi there, Steve.
Hi.
Hi, Steve and Phyllis.
Hi.
Glad to have you with us.
I'll leave you all to your devices.
Oh, well, you can stay. We'd love to have you.
Oh, well.
Okay, we
All right,
already.
here's Steve. Good to see you all.
Have you been playing golf this week, Steve?
No. My
Okay.
partner's recovering from an injury.
Mel, have you been to Hawaii?
Yeah, in the past, not recently.
Patty, where do you prefer to go when you go to Hawaii?
Actually, Kauai it would be my preference. Maui would be next. I just love being there, just on the beach, just enjoying the warm weather, getting in the water. I just think it's great. Oh, good. We have someone coming from Washington, D.C. here. There she is. How's D.C. doing?
Cold, very chilly.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, and Tad's coming on. Wow, how great. Hi there, Tad. Hey, good to have you.
Hey, honey. Good to be here.
Yeah, Tad, you're on for the first time. We're pleased to have you.
I'm delighted to be with you.
We have Annie here from Washington, D.C. all the way.
Why don't we get going on the meeting here? Tad, this is your first time with us, and we usually welcome first timers with the chance to tell us what you've done since you left Stanford. And by the way, Tad, we only have an hour.
My husband was in the municipal government, and we moved to Washington in 1967. Son at that time was very unhappy about moving, and he said, "Oh, now I'm going to be the new guy." And 5 years later, nobody wanted to move. They just loved Washington. So I've been here since '67. Have 3 kids. The director of volunteers for the Travelers Aid Society, which is an old-time social service agency for people who are in trouble away from home. And I did that for 20 years at the 2 airports and the train station. And I retired in 1992.
Wow, you've had quite a venture there since you left Stanford.
Hello, Anne.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm glad to see you and your dog.
Where's the dog?
Where's the dog?
The dog just walked through. I saw it from behind Anne.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, what a cutie.
Mary, good to see you.
Good to see you, all of you. I see a little row of pictures at the top.
Oh, good. Nancy Clark's coming on.
Is that Ann Livingston? Ingrid?
Yes, that is Lan Livingston.
Hello, Ann.
Donald.
There, now I got it.
Yeah, you're in Washington, yes.
Don, looks like you ran into a post there.
No, I ran into concrete.
Ooh.
I fell on my head, but I'm okay now.
Well, I think many of us are at the age where we are the full support for the medical community.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. I'm glad I'm near the clinic.
I want to hear from Tad.
Uh-huh. Hello, Nancy.
Hi. Hello.
Ted, can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's eating lunch.
Mhm.
Hi there, Walt.
There's Walt, yeah.
You're muted. Those
No,
are
they
grandchildren.
are grandchildren.
They're now in their 30s, Don. Emily, so glad you're with us. Is your mom going to be able to join us?
Well, we'll see what my brother has promised that he's going to. He has spent the last 30 years as a computer programmer, so now we'll test if we can figure out how to get into Zoom. I'm in Mexico for a week, so
Wow. Have any of the rest of you had exotic experiences over the holidays that you'd like to tell us about? For many years, we've been getting into San Francisco for a week at the Presidio.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's just always a lovely experience, because we can get the whole family together, all of our kids and some of their kids. Usually right after Christmas, the weather in San Francisco is gorgeous, and we were lucky enough to have that break again this year. Absolutely adored the new tunnel top,
Oh, the tunnel
Parks.
tops. That's a
Yeah.
great park.
which are right at the end of the big Presidio Green.
Yes.
And even with some mobility problems between Marge and I, we were able to hike from
Problems,
the
not
top to the
problems,
bottom and back to the
challenges.
top.
Situations, Terry, situations, not challenge, not problems.
Where's Marge now? I don't see your picture. Where's Marge?
Marge is having a real problem with a knee right now, so she's resting, and I'm here on my own,
Uh-huh.
worried every minute that I'll need her help.
As it has twice invited Tad to share with us, and we've all sort of preempted him each time.
Are you
But
having
he's eat-
lunch, Tad?
Yeah,
Is it lunchtime?
you had a question for me.
Yeah, Dad,
Lunchtime?
how's your tennis game these days?
The tennis game these days is not to be discussed.
What are you doing with your time now, Tad?
Giving away my estate, a lot of it going to Stanford. Don, Ted was saying that he is spending his time giving away his estate, much of it to Stanford.
John, have you played pickleball?
No, I haven't, but there's a new pickleball facility day and night here in Rossmore. It costs $2 million and it's about to open.
Wow. How
Yeah.
many courts?
I think there's 6.
Mhm.
It's a
Wow.
very noisy sport. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was
they
an
put
article
up
in the
some
paper.
sound walls around it because the neighboring people were objecting to it.
Right. It's not like
Noise.
tennis, right? It's very noisy when the ball hits the paddle.
I just read they're inventing new equipment that will be a
Yeah.
lot quieter. You play it, Mel?
No, I don't.
I played it.
And you don't fall.
Well, you can fall anytime, any place, doing anything, as you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Nancy, you were going to say something.
The very first time I ever heard about pickleball was when I went to visit a friend in Bend, Oregon, and they had courts near where she lived, and she said everybody was complaining about the noise.
Walt, can you hear us now, and can you talk to us?
Switch to my iPad. I can't manage my computer. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah.
beautifully.
We can see you and hear you.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So how you doing with that new hip? Are you dancing yet?
Well, it was only a hemi. I didn't have a whole new hip put in, but I'm I can't do a jig yet. Still, my balance is still challenged, but I'm moving about quite a bit and I'm able to get around.
Good.
Active singing in the choir and
Oh, yeah.
otherwise
Good.
spending a lot of time in my recliner.
Have you given up
Terrific.
lawnmowers?
My family is rather insisting. I still have it. I could sneak it on the side, but it's not necessarily mow right now.
It's snow, snow, snow.
So what are you guys doing physically?
I'm still typing.
I did a line dance class yesterday.
I do daily exercises to tapes. Does that count?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. You get an
Oh,
A
that-
plus for that.
That does not count.
That's a necessity.
And I practice getting up off the floor too.
It's a
I've
good way
been-
to do it. You climb up your knees.
Right, I've been practicing that for decades.
I work with a trainer twice a week
Oh,
and then have homework assignments in between.
Oh,
oh
really?
gosh. Oh gosh.
Do you ever use boxing gloves, Walt?
No, I haven't been engaged in an activity that would require that.
Well, my mother had a trainer and he put boxing gloves on her. It was very good for her upper body, you know?
Well, there are upper body exercises, but mine don't involve boxing gloves.
How are you doing with all the stairs in your house?
Oh, I'm negotiating those fine, carefully. I do not run upstairs, but that's part of the exercise too. I have banisters that are very important in going up and down stairs.
By the way, Jim Madison and I are busy reading Wally Sterling's biography.
No, it's not quite his biography,
Well,
but it's the history
historical-
of Sterling's presidency at Stanford.
Yeah, his presidency at Stanford. And since he arrived when we arrived as freshmen, it's a very interesting book, but it's a very thick, heavy book. But if you're really interested in that, you could maybe get it out of a library or something.
It's Sterling. Is it authored by Sterling or?
No, by two researchers at Stanford. History
It
research.
is, it's authored by one woman who only gets credit as a editor, but she was the archivist at Stanford for some number of years, I think. And the other woman, Karen Bartholomew, was worked in the Stanford News Service for some number of years. My late wife, Mary, was well acquainted with Karen, and through Mary, I met Karen, and I have since met Roxy or Roseanne, who's the other author. They were actually gracious enough to refer their chapter on Sterling's involvement with athletics to me for a read and comment, since Dick Wiseman had been kind enough in our senior year to put me on the Stanford Athletic Board as a student representative. So they thought I was knowledgeable about Stanford athletics and Sterling's involvement with them. During his era, you may remember, or you may know, there was a big brouhaha with UCLA and USC. Unlike their current withdrawal from the Pac-12, they were then not abiding by the ground rules for treating athletes as students instead of as professionals. Got Sterling involved, got Clark Sproul of the University of California involved. And
Stanford has got to be treating student athletes as professionals with all the other universities now, aren't they?
Stanford has not yet figured out how to embrace name, image, and likeness in the same way that schools that have set up big volunteer organizations to pay football players hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stanford is resistant to that. That's a subject on which if we're interested, we need to stay tuned.
I wanted to ask whether there was a picture of the bonfire in that book, and I wondered if any of you fellows were enlisted into building the bonfire in Lake Lagunitas when you were freshmen. Did any of you do that? Oh my goodness, 3 of you. And wasn't that dangerous climbing up on that thing?
I didn't go that high.
I didn't want to go up there, but I wanted to tell you, when I went to the rally at UCLA in 1951 in the band, the bonfire exploded and threw embers up into the sky. And I think from then on, Stanford's freshmen were not allowed or didn't build the bonfire. They got a business to come in and do it. Anyway, it was quite an explosion. It was an interesting event. Nobody got hurt though, fortunately.
Okay,
Anyway,
Jim, what's the best way to get a copy of the book? Would the bookstore ship one out?
I would guess that it would. Actually, it's distributed by Stanford University Press. So I would look up either of those on the website and figure out how to order a copy of the book. It's really a great read. Got a lot of pictures in it.
Yeah.
What was most fascinating to me, because it's just really the antithesis of of the Wally Sterling that we all knew, he actually played football at McGill University in Canada when he was a student, and he later coached football at a different Canadian university when he was getting his MA. And there's a picture, it's nothing else in the picture except Wally Sterling in his football uniform standing upright. And it's just a solo picture. It's a great picture.
Well, that leads to a question about the other book that's out right now, and that's the one regarding the death of Jane Stanford.
Yeah, who
what-
killed Jane Stanford? Yes.
Who killed Jane Stanford? Is that the title?
Yes, very good read too. It talks about Jordan and Stanford and their interaction. It's a very interesting book, I think, historically.
Mary, are you reading it?
No, but I read a biography of Jordan, of David Starr Jordan. That's who you're talking about, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Well, it's interaction in the
There
early
are-
years.
There are suspicions.
Yes, yes. Well, I won't tell you who he thought killed Jane. You'll have to read the book yourself. There's another book came out, The Dawning of Diversity, about how Stanford moved away from being a lily white institution and started trying to admit non-white students. That's called the Dawning of Diversity, and it's a very interesting history of the late 1960s, if you're interested in that part of Stanford history.
One of my acquaintances at Stanford was the first Black athlete, Ed Tucker. He went on to become an MD, but not through Stanford. He went to a Black medical school in Texas and got his degree, got his MD there before he set up practice in Los Angeles.
In my
Steve,
medical school class at Stanford, we had Mungai Rogi from Kenya. His uncle was Shanryo Kangradi, the guy that had independence for Kenya. He was a good student, and we had a good time with him and corresponded with afterwards.
He also went to medical school, and Mungai eventually became health minister, and I think for a time foreign minister of Kenya
Yeah,
after its independence.
yeah.
Really?
Was he admitted to a fraternity by any chance?
I don't think he sought one.
In medical school, we were beyond that. I don't think it was at Stanford undergraduate. I don't know that.
Thinking of football and medical school and so forth. I assume many of you are aware that Bill McCall died after Christmas
Oh,
this
no.
year.
I didn't hear that, no.
they had his
Yeah.
memorial service this last Saturday.
One thing in the book to mention is a tremendous section on all those anti-war protests in the late 60s were so a national story as what was going on at Stanford with trashing buildings and everything.
Well, I think the way that they settled that whole thing down was that they closed the bathrooms at the quad.
Very mean thing to do.
Mungai, Dean Winbigler, who was then dean of students in our time, met Mungai at some time of a gathering somewhere in Africa. It may have actually been in Kenya. And Mungai expressed interest in getting to Stanford. And Winbigler said, if you can get to the United States, I'll get you to Stanford. And sure enough, Winbigler, when he made that statement, had no realistic expectation of Mungai ever making it to the United States. But the next thing he heard from Mungai was a couple of years later, Mungai was in New York City. And Winbigler held true to his promise. He got him across the country, got him into Stanford, and saw to it that he had the financial ability to get through Stanford. And then, as Mel was saying, went on to medical school.
Interesting.
Stephen G.
Oh, by the way, at the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't go to a barber until Thursday, and I took off my ponytail.
Oh,
Oh,
years.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
4 years of hair growth. My my hair, my ponytail is gone. Cost of a
That's fine.
haircut at that time was $12. Now is 20. Imagine that. $20 for a haircut.
And you're going to save that, right?
Yeah, this is my old ponytail
Uh,
It's very
souvenir.
pretty.
Going back to integration at Stanford, for 1 quarter, I lived in a room. I was a Catholic, but there was a Jew, a Protestant, and a Muslim.
oh, good.
And the Protestant and the Jew made life hell for the other two of us, arguing over petty things that differed in their cultures. But the other interesting thing was that the Muslim was the son of the head of the mathematics department for the Shah of Afghanistan. And his father had charge of the national economy, the census, gross national product of the country, and all of that sort of stuff. And I suspect that they all went early in the revolution.
Might have been executed.
That's what he
Yeah.
means.
Yeah, his purpose was to get his master's degree at Stanford and go back and electrify Afghanistan.
One of my fellow soccer players at Stanford was from Afghanistan. He had never played soccer in soccer boots before. He resisted playing soccer in soccer boots at Stanford. He would get checked for his wearing boots by the referee at the beginning of a game. Then as soon as the referee's back was turned, he'd take them off, play barefoot. Nobody would believe me on this when I tell this story, except that there is a picture of him in the quad playing in a game, playing barefoot. He went back to Afghanistan, got involved in the Ministry of Public Works, and so far as we all know, probably got killed in the revolution in what was 1967 or 68. John, how things coming on your latest book?
I'm working on another novel about a retirement community, which I'm living in. And so it's sort of an autobiography, but it's very complex. And so I will take a while to compose that, I think.
What was the name of your Etruscan book? What is it?
They Who Have Gone Before.
They Who Have Gone Before.
Yeah, right.
The Etruscans went before the Romans.
They did, yeah.
Carol, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes,
We
we're
see-
glad to see you.
You know, I can't ever seem to remember when California time starts.
Oh, because we've seen your living room for quite a while.
Yeah.
What time is it? There,
It's
3.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Carol,
We've been
how's
on
your
here
new
half an hour.
place?
Then you're only 2 hours ahead of us.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Carol,
it's
how
9
do you
o'clock
like
here.
how do you like your new place?
Oh, I'm still getting used to it. It's okay.
What new place is that, Carol?
I'm in a retirement center, Arcadia. I moved in
Oh.
about 4 months ago, but it's, you know, it's a big change, really.
You gave up a house?
What?
You
I
moved
sold
down-
my house, which absolutely practically killed me out because I really loved the house.
What did you do
It
with
was
all
very
your
hard to
stuff?
sell. What?
What did you do with your stuff?
Oh, gee, they had an auction, which I would never undergo again. It was
Oh.
awful. Yeah, they broke some things and, you know, it was just generally super unpleasant. But,
Oh.
you know, when you got a
Yeah.
house, you got a lot of things more than when you scale down. But it's not too bad. I've got a balcony and a view of the mountains, and that's nice.
How many residents do you share the center with?
I think it's about 225, something like that. I knew a couple people was all, but you know, there are lots of really interesting and nice people here.
Where are you
Oh,
located?
here is Honolulu.
DC, we have Kansas, we have Honolulu, and the rest of us are right around here.
I wanted to ask you how you like the food that you get after leaving your house and moving into that kind of place. Are you-
Well, actually, the first first 2 months, I really liked it, but you know, one gets tired of it, so it's okay.
is easy to gain weight. They make incredible scones and rolls. So I'm trying to not eat those. And
Do you
they're
have a
really
kitchen?
nice.
Do you have a kitchen in your apartment?
Yes, of
You do.
sorts. Yeah,
So
I have a
you
little 2-burner stove and a microwave and an oven.
Mel, where you're living, do they have things like different trips and things that you can take on or adventures around the area?
They go to Huntington Library and things like that. And about once every month, we have something like that. And about 30 people go filling a bus. We go to the Philharmonic downtown in LA 8 times a year with a bus, and that's on our own, but it's in a bus with a lot of people.
That's
Okay.
How long a trip is that, Mel?
About an hour in and an hour back. We used to go in the morning, do something in LA area was interesting for people, and they had the concert at 1 o'clock. Now they concert at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we can't get anywhere else going to the concert itself. And before the concert, they have an educational thing for 45 minutes, and they have the concert, and that's it for the day.
Patty, are you thinking of moving into a retirement community that you asked the question?
No, I'm not. I will say that I have looked around and I have talked to different facilities. But I'm not ready to do anything like that yet, and I don't think that's what the Lord wants me to be doing. I have been really concerned about recently when they've had such shutdowns, and you really sort of have to stay isolated. And I think I would be better to have someone come into my home if I can do that.
Okay,
than for
Patty,
me to go there.
let's wait till we're 100 before we do that.
I'll agree. I'll agree. But if that's what happens, if, there comes time when you really need that kind of care,
Yes.
then you have to do that. But at the moment, I'm not really ready to do that.
We've been here 9.5 years and we enjoy it a lot. And there's independent liver people here.
Oh.
They have 300 of independents, 100 of assisted living, and skilled nursing is about 60 people.
Well, we have Chinese New Year's coming in about
Yeah.
10, 12 days. Yeah. Place goes a lot in for holidays. So there's almost something almost close to every day.
Anyway, hello.
Okay, what's been your latest trip,
Yeah.
Donnie? Seeing as how you're on wheels all the time.
That's fine.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
next
some people-
Wednesday,
Because the door's
my
open.
my 4 daughters and I are
Alright,
going
maybe
to
someone can
Mexico
do 2
for
things about the
10
tower.
days on a
I
cruise.
kind of
And
think that
we're
it's all the fun,
that's it,
you know?
it's pure
Okay.
fluff. I mean, we're not
Okay.
gonna learn anything. We're just gonna be warm and shop, eat and drink and shop and whatever. We did it
When-
last March and we had a good time. So
Where in
my wonderful son, who's sitting right here, my wonderful son is going to take care of the dog and 3 cats.
Where in Mexico, Marilyn? Where in Mexico?
The Mexican Riviera, Puerto Vallarta's first, and then Mazatlan and Manzanito and Baja. And it's just,
Great.
not intellectual, just pure hedonistic pleasure.
But Donnie, you need to know that we have Annie Livingston with us from DC. And we had Ted Tobby with us for a while.
We still
Oh,
have Ann.
Emily Pickerel with us for a while, trying to get her mom
Oh.
on.
oh, well, I was pleased. I went to the dentist a little early and got out. I just got out early. So.
Well, Anne's still here. She hasn't said anything, but there she is.
Oh, Ann.
All the way from DC.
Oh, my gosh.
And of course, Walt is next to you on my screen from Kansas. And we have
Yeah.
Carol from Honolulu.
Yeah, Carol, I haven't seen her for a while.
Hi, Marilyn. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And the rest of us are pretty local around the Bay.
Speaking of distant stories here, My son and daughter and their spouses are in Antarctica right now.
Oh,
And
Wow.
they're on the same trip that Marge and I took 8 years ago.
mhm.
And Nancy, on our trip, your brother-in-law was along with us with his wife, and we all got in a Zodiac and started away from the ship in the Arctic Ocean, and we couldn't find his wife. She had fallen overboard, that we managed to find her and pull her out.
Good
Uh,
heavens.
That
So,
was my brother-in-law.
Dean Clark and his
Yeah.
wife.
Oh my
Doctor.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep hearing the story about his wife, and they didn't know she was missing for a few minutes, so I
God.
guess. Oh,
Oh my, oh,
I can't
One of my
believe it.
sons,
It's terrible.
son's generation made a tour of the Antarctic, and a lot of the folks from her ship went swimming.
We had the opportunity and I passed.
On the subject of the playoffs, needless to say, I have a bias.
I'm sure
Oh.
you do, Walt.
Go
I thought of
Chiefs.
you.
So
I
do
didn't know
we.
We're Chiefs country.
Anyway, the whole country is following the romance.
Every Chiefs game's got to have a shot of her in the owner's booth, looking at Kelsey, and of course, everybody's enjoying their romance around here.
Well, she'll be coming from Japan, I read in the paper, for the Super Bowl. It'll be a tight squeeze, but she might make it.
oh, I heard that.
She's
Hate to be
she's
so ignorant, but who is this she?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor
Oh,
Swift
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And
Who-
Travis Kelce.
who has a romance with a tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
one of
that's the
one of the
story.
more interesting features of the season.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It spiced it up.
How many of you have any of you seen this movie, either Oppenheimer or Barbie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbie.
Open.
I've seen Barbie.
How many have seen Barbie?
I have.
oh,
Am I the only one?
Oh,
No.
Terry.
Anne, did you raise your hand?
I saw it.
Yeah.
No, but Mel has and I have, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And how about Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Oppenheimer on February 16th. You can stream it.
Me
So,
Very
too.
good.
it's 3. My
The-
daughter said it was really, really long, and I thought
is,
I'd better
it's 3
hear
hours
it at
and-
home where I can get up and go to the bathroom.
Have potty
Yeah.
breaks, that's right.
The
Unlike Gone with the Wind, there's no intermission.
Yeah,
the-
yeah,
what-
yeah.
What'd you think as between the two?
well,
they're pretty good.
Oppenheimer was very interesting to me because our ChemE department at Stanford used to interchange with the Cal scientific department frequently. Personally, knew the names of most of the people except for Oppenheimer. When I got out of the Navy, my first 4 years were with the GE nuclear department up in Richland, Washington. And that was the source of the plutonium bomb. And part of my work was processing the reactor fuels that had produced the plutonium. So it
Wow.
was very interesting to me. Thought that Oppenheim really got a bad deal at the end of the project.
That was kind of going on in Washington at that time. A lot of good people got bad deals at the hands of the House Un-American Activities Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hey, Jim, should I look at Barbie? Is that worth looking at?
It's a fun movie.
It is.
I saw it.
I thought it was very good.
Speaking of entertainment, does everybody look at the Trump soap operas every night?
Oh, God.
I don't think we need to get into that, okay? Things are so pleasant right now. We don't need to move in that
No,
direction,
but
Don.
it's
No.
wonderful. It's
No.
wonderful. It's a wonderful soap opera. Every day there's another chapter, you know?
The bylaws of this meeting are that we don't discuss politics.
Meanwhile, there's the soap opera going on with Stanford Athletics.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about it, Jim.
We're now part of the Atlantic Coast Conference. And so the students are going to, actually, the student legislature has adopted a resolution. It's just kind of an appeal to the university that given the additional travel that student athletes will be subjected to now in order to go to schools like Syracuse and whatever else there is in the Atlantic Coast Conference, that they should get more freedom from having to show up for things like midterms and finals and be able to take them at a distance or online than has previously been allowed in connection with just the travel up and down the coast for Pac-12 engagements. And so so far, apparently, the administration has not acted on that issue, but there's no question that those students who are going to be who are athletes and are going to be, some of them in some sports like the sailing has already for years been traveling all over the country, but in football and basketball and soccer and track and field and baseball and some of the more conventional sports, there's no question but what, you're not only going to be traveling farther, but they're going to be traveling over, from the Pacific time zone to the Eastern time zone. And there's a lot more stress on the students' lives as a result of having to go back and forth over those distances. So we'll see how that, it may turn into a real drag on Stanford's ability to recruit athletes. I don't know.
Yeah, Jim, it looks like the only two sports that are still going to survive pretty well are women's soccer and women's basketball. Got any comments on that?
Why do you suppose that they're going to be survivors?
Well,
because they're going to be competing
programs with excellent coaches.
Other programs that have excellent programs and excellent coaches, but the women's soccer is going to be competing against North Carolina, which is sitting way over there on the East Coast, adjust to the additional travel and additional time zones, and basketball's the same way.
And all those planes, I'm using up all that fuel. That's one thing I've thought about too. It's awful. I think it's awful.
There's another aspect to it. I don't know whether Tara is going to retire after this season or not. Anybody have any insight on that?
I have no idea.
She's 70 years old and has
know.
Really? Oh my God.
And has just become the winningest basketball coach of all time.
She seems to be at the top of her game, though.
But she so loves it. I don't know.
Yeah, she looks great.
Recently.
After all, gang, she's a young whippersnapper.
Yes, well. Thanks for reminding us.
She happens to live in the same neighborhood that I do. And one time she treated the whole neighborhood to free basketball tickets for one of her games with Tennessee, probably a decade or more.
How many of you watched women's basketball?
Oh, I do. I do. And volleyball.
How's that? Yes.
I watched women's basketball when Stanford won the championship this last time, a couple of years ago.
How many of you watch men's basketball?
I live right across the street from the University of the Pacific, and they have really good women's volleyball and basketball for a small university.
I like volleyball. I think volleyball is a great sport to watch. Nancy, you agree?
Volleyball is exciting. It's so fast.
Yeah.
We've had men's in national championship volleyball and women's also. It's very good.
Did you play that, Nancy, in the old days?
Oh, when we were at Stanford, volleyball was not what it is now.
No, it's really changed.
It was
Neither was basketball.
Get it over and nothing like what it is now.
Women
volleyball was not an
not
an intercollegiate sport at Stanford.
No.
Well, our players are from like
Brazil, Greece, Norway, Hawaii players too.
Jim, are you still coaching the women? Girls?
Well, I have, this summer or this spring, I'm going to be helping to coach a team of boys that were born in year 2012 and 2013.
Wow.
Terrific.
I sort of am coach will travel.
Put our next homecoming on your calendar. It's next October 24th to 27th. So
Oh,
get
the
it on your
reunion?
calendars.
As much pleasure as this is, it's about time to wrap up this one as well.
Yeah.
And we will have another one in 3 months.
Tell Marge we missed her.
And
Yes.
it's a delight to see you all, and Marge will enjoy editing this so that you can enjoy it later online.
And all
Thank you
we can
all
say at
so much.
our age is stay well until then.
Right.
Yes.
And even after then.
Well, maybe
And
we should say
happy
stay as
Chinese
well
New
as you.
Year.
We should say stay as well as you are.
Don't fall.
Yeah.
Don't fall.
Stay upright,
Don't fall.
exactly. Hold on to
Oh,
railings at all times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh.
don't
Thanks, Jerry.
slide down Walt's banister.
No.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Marge. And
Bye
thank,
all.
Thank you so
thank
much.
Marge for us
Oh,
setting this up.
greetings from the Hawaiian people who couldn't be here.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And thank you, Patty, for setting it all up.
Well, it's Marge and Terry who are responsible for the Zoom, so we're very thankful.
Bon voyage, Donnie.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Good to see you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much for participating.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye,
Steve.
Pat.
Good having you along.
Nice seeing you guys again.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for being here, Steve.